Hey, friend, I know how this feels. Waking up exhausted after multiple trips to the bathroom and feeling embarrassed by sudden leaks. I used to be constantly on edge, searching for a restroom whenever I was out. Then I discovered Better Woman. I was skeptical at first, but 2 months in, everything changed. I experienced improved bladder control, no more heart-stopping moments when I laugh or sneeze, less urge to go, deeper and more restful sleep. I finally felt like myself again, confident and in control. Better Woman is natural, effective, clinically tested, and trusted by women for over 25 years. Ready to take back your control? Head over to BeBetterNow.com to order your supply today. That's BeBetterNow.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed. Individual results may vary.
The way we work is changing every day, thanks in large part to the internet. So if you're an online creator, what can you do to create a sustainable future for yourself? On Attach Your Resume, creators share how their jobs work, especially during times like these where big changes are happening in the online world. Listen to interviews with internet reporter Taylor Lorenz, CEO of Patreon Jack Conte, representatives from Defector, Aftermath, and more. Whether you're an online creator yourself or curious about what's going on in the online Wild West, search Attach Your Resume wherever you listen to your podcasts.
The following podcast is brought to you by Iconic Nation Media. Welcome to In Studio with Kimberly Lovey, where mindset meets motherhood, media meets mogul energy, and every episode feels like a front row seat to the life you're meant to lead. The podcast where ambition meets authenticity, and we make success look oh so good, all while having lots of laughs. I'm Kimberly Lovey, wife, mom of 3, founder of Iconic Nation Media, and the CEO who's been there, built that, all while chasing toddlers and even making an occasional appearance on the tennis courts. This show is your front row seat to the real talk behind building a brand, raising a family, and becoming the most iconic version of you. We cover business, mindset, motherhood, media, and all the messy moments in between. Every week, I'm joined by visionaries, creators, and changemakers who aren't afraid to share the unfiltered magic behind their come up. This isn't just a podcast. This is your all-access pass to finally play big. Let's play boldly, beautifully, and unapologetically together. So grab your matcha, fix that crown, and get ready to step into the studio. In Studio with Kimberly Lovey, because your next level has been waiting, and it's fabulous. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In Studio with Kimberly Lovey. And today we're going to have a little bit of something different. So when I was at Super Bowl, I met Kiki Garcia, and she has her own radio show in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it's called Magic Mornings with Kiki Garcia. And she's on the radio Monday through Friday, which is a lot of content. I'm super impressed with you, Kiki. Anyway, she does kind of like different themes every day of the week. And she has Women We Love Wednesday. And it was so cool because she actually had invited me on her radio show to talk about all kinds of things. Using your voice as a woman, not making yourself small, how we can team together. So many fun, interesting, authentic conversations and subjects that we cover in this episode while she's interviewing me. And I'm really excited to share it with you. So enjoy the show, and thank you again for listening.
So it's time for another Woman We Love, and I have one of my friends. I love this lady so much. Kimberly Lovey is with us today. Now, I kind of teased it on the radio about you, but I think you're incredible because I think it's so important for, as women and just people in general, that we have a voice and that we're able to share it. And you are like a connector to share things. And I love that about you. So for people who don't know, tell us a little bit about your business.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me onto your wonderful show, Kiki, and it's an equal pleasure. Definitely mutual admiration between us. I love a wonderful, woman with a voice. And a little bit about me is I am a mom of 3. I was a CEO of a very, very large company, have my MBA, all that kind of stuff. Really, over the pandemic, I had started podcasting because, like you were saying, having a voice. And it was just really this creative form of expression, which was so different than my training, my background in the corporate finance world, strategy world, all of that, management consulting. And as my time went on, I was like, wait, I absolutely love it. And I want to tell the women out there that if you have that itch to launch your voice, there's a reason, because I will tell you, the moment I finally figured out how to launch my voice on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and I heard it in my car, it was like my whole soul was set free. There was nothing better than that. And that's why I have launched my company where we launch other people's podcasts and YouTube channels, and it's called Iconic Nation Media.
So you pretty much shook up your whole life and changed things around and followed your heart and your passion. What advice do you have to other people who are not necessarily unhappy, but just not in the place they feel like they belong, but they're afraid to take that leap? What gave you the strength? Were there any words that you heard that just made you say, you know what, I got to do this. I got to go for what is bringing me joy?
Yeah. So I had already been on this path towards like really trying to reach whatever my soul desired, and that just came from within. So I was listening to John Assaraf. I was learning and teaching courses about really mindset manifestation, and I was already taking those steps. But what really crystallized it for me is the death of my mom. And I don't want to make people sad, but this is my truth, and I do want to share it. My mom was my best friend, and she died in my arms in October. And in those moments leading up to her passing, I looked at her and I was like, oh, this really ends. Like, you know how we always hear these phrases of like, life's too short, make it count, and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But maybe it's because I'm now 40 years old and maybe it's just the season I'm in, but there really came a point where I just recently was like, oh, this is real. This is a real thing. And nothing can really prepare you until you have something like that happen. But what I did as a result was the moment my mom left this planet, I always say, all fear left my body. It physically left my body. And I think so many of us truly are a victim of our own minds. And I just decided I'm done. I'm going all in on my passion, my life. Like, what's the worst that happens? You fail and you start somewhere else, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll just stop there. But that's my truth. And that's what really I can say to folks.
Okay, you totally gave me goosebumps telling that story, because I knew I loved you and I knew we were connected somehow. Just hearing that, the same thing, my mom passed away and then my dad passed away in 2020. And it was shocking, but I understand what you're saying about all the fear just leaves. I still worry, but I'm not afraid anymore to take chances, because I don't know about you, but, I look at my dad's age and I think, okay, I only have X amount of years left. If I make it to my dad's age, what am I doing? What am I doing? Am I doing the things that bring me joy? I too shook up my life in January. I left a show that was successful on the radio, and I took a different path, and I went to a station that's not doing well. But I have my own show and I could use my own voice and bring to life the stories that I think will inspire us. And you are living proof of that. I mean, you go through the grieving of losing your parent, but then it doesn't end necessarily, but you feel stronger because you made it through and you learned so many things. I just think it's so important to tell our story because other people are going through things too. And the biggest thing I felt was alone. I don't know how you felt, but I just felt so alone afterwards.
Yes, it's very lonely. I just want to first say I'm really sorry for your losses because I know and I can only imagine, losing both parents is it's just not easy to say the very least. I mean, the grief could kill you. But
Yes.
we do have to gather our strength. Our parents want us to be happy. They want us to be joyful. They don't want us sitting around crying. And yes, it's so lonely that I mean, I just literally said to someone that works in my home who was very close with my mom as well, I was like, the grief could literally kill you. I mean, it is that severe. And that's why I do speak out about it. I cry openly. I'm not embarrassed because I'm like, why would I be embarrassed to cry when that's a reflection of how awesome my mother was, my relationship, right? But going back to this notion of fear, I mean, it's something I talk a lot about in my podcast, which is called In Studio for those of you that are interested in hearing more about this stuff. But it is hard to make change, but we have to do it. We cannot be so afraid of living that we die without really going after our dreams. And I mean, I hate to say like the trite thing, but it is true. If you really think about it, you do miss 100% of the shots you do not take. Right. And
Yes.
statistically, like Kobe Bryant, for example, I forget the exact number, so please don't crucify me, but it's somewhere around like the 50%-ish mark, 51, 52, 53, somewhere in that neighborhood of shots that he made versus missed. So what does that tell us? That tells us that we've got to take the shot. And even when we miss the shot, it doesn't mean we won't make the next one. We've got to push ourselves to take the shot. And one really good practical tactical way of helping yourself get in that space is through listening to podcasts that are motivating and inspiring, or radio shows like yourself, and also surrounding yourself with people that are in that same vibration. That is huge. It's adding in the people that really are feeling that same way. You and I are on that same level, right? Like we energetically vibe because we feel that. Like we're scared. We're still scared.
Yep.
And we're doing it anyway. You got to do it anyway. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be scared or that you're not going to fail, but go for it and learn along the way and iterate. It's okay.
It's so interesting how God put us together. A little backstory. We met at Radio Row during the Super Bowl. And, you talk about the fear. I was there this year in New Orleans, and I was doing it for myself. I was getting the interviews for myself. Whereas usually in the past, I was getting it for other people, other podcasters, other radio stations. But I really didn't know what I was doing. But then I thought for a second, does anyone ever really know
No.
what they're doing? You
I
don't.
didn't
You
know
just
what I
go
was
and
doing
figure
there.
it out.
I did not know what I was doing there either. And I took a leap. That is another very minute, practical example of me taking a risk where I have a client very high up in the NFL. I'm so grateful. He's such a wonderful person. And he wants me more a part of the NFL, wants me and my company, right, that I founded. They pushed me. They were like, come to Radio Row. I'm like, I don't have time to build my stage or to bring my team, or like it was just like a last minute yes. I just said yes, and I booked a flight and I'm there, and thank God. I mean, it was life changing. And yeah, so in those moments of uncertainty of like, I'm not sure about myself, it's trust yourself, say yes anyway, lean into the uncertainty. And I guarantee not everybody else there has it figured out. Like you're not special and you're not alone.
I think that's the most eye-opening thing. I used to think, because back in the day, I was on a radio show, and one by one, everyone started leaving, and I was there. And then I had a new partner. But I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm never going to know what this other girl did. How did she get information? How did she do this? How did she build the show? And then when they were all gone, you just figure it out. You just have to, and you have to trust in yourself, and you have to. I want to know why. Why is women or people in general do we not give ourselves enough credit for what we've accomplished and what we've learned? Why are we so down on ourselves when I can lift you up all day long, but for me, I don't do it. Why? How can we change that?
Yeah, I think probably, and I don't want to get into like the history of like, men versus women and all of that, but I will say there's one thing that we can do practically and tactically. And this is taking a nod from the men of what they do really well that we don't do well. And this is something I've studied because I was working, as I said, in management consulting and finance and strategy, very male dominated field out of business school at USC, with very high profile executives, Fortune 5, 10, 15, 20 companies, very, very big kind of boardrooms, all that stuff, right? I was traveling all over, surrounded by a lot of men. And what I noticed is what men do really well that women need to learn from. And I really try and do this is what you'll see them do is they partner together naturally. They naturally are like, oh, hey, man, what do you do? Oh, cool. How can we work together? Or like, oh, yeah, hey, why don't you join my team or whatever? They figure out ways to partner all the time. It's like they're reaching for each other. Women, we tend to do this. We think that there's not enough for every one thing. And for example, when a beautiful, strong woman walks into the room, your first thought is probably something negative. As opposed to my new thing it's not new because I've been doing this now for decades, but I instead, rather than that, it's, wow, look at that stunning woman. I wonder what she's all about. I bet you she's fabulous. I want to get to know her. And then I will reach for her in a way that's, full of admiration and joy and admire her. And I'll tell her, like, you are so beautiful. I have to know what you're wearing, or there's a vibe. Like, I'll start to tell them, and they immediately love it because they're used to women tearing each other down. So, what we can do as women is really take that cue from the men and elevate each other and work together. Like how you and I were like, oh, you're in audio, I'm in audio. How can we work together? Like we reached for each other. That's how we elevate collectively.
I know. I don't understand where this competition comes from. In my life, it was always like I was taught that women were competition, whereas if we just talk to each other and figure each other out, we can work together and actually be stronger together than on your own.
Especially, look, when I see a woman now, I'm like, I know you can do the work of 10 different people probably. Women, we are so capable. I think we're afraid of our own power. I really genuinely think that. So for example, let me bring this down because I don't like to say fluffy things and not like bring it to real life because
Right.
it's not just fluff. Like this is real stuff. I'll use myself as an example. When I was in those boardrooms and I was more junior, I was afraid to speak up a lot of times. And some of that's because I don't have the experience yet. But even as I got older and more experienced, you do start to find your voice a little bit. But I almost felt like I'm the blonde, I'm 5'8", I'm tall, I'm blonde. Like I would make sure I dress really like dress down to cover myself and very conservatively. I didn't want to be too pretty, right? But I found myself making myself small so that I wasn't too big for other people and I didn't outshine other people. You know what I say? Forget that. Forget it. That is ridiculous. I think women, we are afraid of our own power. And I will tell you, I certainly was. Only now in my 40s and after such devastating losses and more experiences in business and in life and being a mom and all these things, it's like, this is who I am. And you know what I say? And this is another hot tip for those of you out there that care about what people think about you. I used to be like that. You know what? If you don't like me, you are welcome to look somewhere else. See, there's a tree, there's a building, there's a bus. Like if I'm insulting, because I know my behavior is not insulting. So if for some reason you just don't care for me, that's okay. And by the way, chances are I probably don't like you back, right? Like when someone doesn't like you, it's like an energy that you're like, we just energetically might not vibe. By the way, that's okay. That's okay. I don't spend my time talking about that person. I just move on. It's fine. So I just think women were afraid of our power And especially when you're a beautiful woman, a strong woman, a woman with an opinion, like, you're beautiful. You're beautiful. The world needs your opinion. It's important, like, don't make yourself small. And if it bothers someone, they can look somewhere else. That's what I say.
You are, it's like you're my sister from another mister or something, because and it took me a long time to figure that out, but once you do, you can't go back, by the way.
No.
Once you got that all down, you can never go back. But that's exactly what I was doing. I was making myself small, and I knew that that's not who I was, but for some reason, that's the role I was playing. And I think a lot of times with people in our lives, we get into that role and we just stay there, whether it's comfortable or whether it's not even true, we just stick to it. And you have to.
Yeah, no, and that goes directly back to your first question to me, is someone that's kind of just existing. Maybe they're not unhappy, but they're not their happiest. It's like when you're taking these risks and when you step into your power, because it's all a whole energy, it's a whole vibe, right? It's a decision, it's like a mindset that you flip. It's like you switch into this existing mode versus like living mode. I will tell you, it's like adrenaline. Like, it's like you're living, Yeah, I'm going to go hop on a plane to Super Bowl with a bunch of men, even though I've never once watched an entire football game sitting down and ended my life. Don't kill me, football fans. It's the truth. But I'm going. Your girl's going. Hey, oh, you're an Eagle? Oh, hi, Eagle guy, whatever. I don't know your name. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're living. You're living. And that's the difference, is like, go live. It's scary. Yes, but it's good. It's good energy. And you want to stay in that energy and you want to keep that momentum. It's how we live longer. That stuck energy is like this stale, rotten, bored energy. That's what that is. It's just not it. It's not living.
Right? I know. And I feel, well, first of all, let me say this. You have to use your voice. I was sitting here, I was a co-host on a show, and I thought, oh yeah, the big guys are going to hear me randomly and see the potential and hear the potential. And that's it. Then I'll be found. And you know what? That's not how it works. You have to make yourself heard, and you have to say what you want. And I'm telling you, manifestation works, and I'm sure you agree with me on that one.
Oh yeah, that's a whole big topic. The manifestation, the visualization. I ended up coming up with a framework on it because it was so powerful. What I had come up with, and I visualized. I mean, there's, and for those of you out there that are like want to hear more about it, like, these are the kinds of things, again, sounds super woo-woo, which is why I created like a system essentially. But, and if you guys are interested, I can DM me at Kimberly Lovey and I can share it with you, but it works. And there's actually biological reasons why manifestation works, where your brain doesn't know the difference, apparently. And again, I'm not a scientist or anything, but there's something with it where your brain doesn't know the difference between reality versus the visualization. The power of visualizing, like through your manifestation, is, and it's supposed to be really specific stuff. And when I did what, I'm telling you guys about the system where I broke it by categories and all this kind of stuff, I ended up doing IVF with my daughter. I never would have thought I would have done IVF. I already had a boy and a girl. I joined a country club. I grew up with not that much money and ended up applying for a country club membership, and joining a tennis team and learning how to play tennis. I launched my podcast. I became a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company in revenue. There were so many things that came out of my manifestation work. So if you guys are out there and you're stuck on that, really consider it, because it sounds so woo-woo, like for people that only do yoga. If you don't like yoga, you can still manifest, right? Like, you don't have to be a hippie to manifest. And if you are a hippie and a yoga lover, by the way, great. I'm just saying, it's for everybody.
right? It is. And no fear, no fear in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah. Well, and I think what you said about using our voice, the other thing that's so crazy about it, once you've kind of decided to take action on your dream and use your voice and speak up in meetings or launch your podcast or your radio or your maybe you want to be a content creator or whatever, when you decide to put yourself out there, whatever way that means for you, you realize people needed to hear that you helped people. We were just at Jeff Lewis's conference. It's called ChumpCon. And I was there with one of the shows that I produce. And when people were coming up to the host saying, oh my gosh, we love your show, and they wanted pictures with her, it wasn't for, in those moments, it's not, oh my God, we have a fan. It's not that. It's not that. It's connection. It's impact. It's people looking you dead in the eyes saying that you helped them and they enjoy what you're creating. And you're like, wow, we're fumbling through the dark making this, show. And the fact that people are receiving and connecting with it, like, and you're transforming other people's lives, there's nothing better than that. Nope. So you never know who you're going to impact in using your voice.
Connections. I mean, that's what it's all about, making a connection with someone and feeling safe with that person. I don't know. I could talk to you all day. I mean, you have to come on the show again for sure.
No, I would love to. Well, and I think, look, when we launch brands, and this is important for anyone out there that is maybe trying to do something different, maybe they do want to start putting their face out there. There's a lot of fear around that. And I understand that better than anyone, because I always said, so the big lie I hear all the time from everyone I talk to that wants to launch their podcast, they always say to me, well, I'm a behind the scenes person. And I giggle because I'm like, oh, I was that girl too. I remember saying that. And you say that because you're keeping yourself small. It's comfortable. It's an easy out for saying, I'm not ready. I'm scared. I'm not good at this. I don't want to look stupid. That's really what's going on. Mm-hmm. I know that very intimately, but all of these things that you tell yourself to keep yourself small, it's a lie. It's a lie. I'm not a tech person. I'm not a fitness person. I'm not a blah, blah, blah person. So I do challenge your audience. What stories or lines do you recite in your daily life all the time? What are those sound bites that you are saying over and over to a lot of different people in different times that are keeping you small and safe? And I'm challenging you to say, not today, I'm not. I was before, and now I'm not that thing, and I'm going to stop saying that thing. Do you have any experiences like that,
Oh
Kiki?
my gosh. It's so funny. I was just going to say, it's like you're in my head, because now that I have my own show, I have to do all these other things, make promos and podcasting and videos and interviewing people. And if you had asked me 6 months ago, I would have said, oh, I can't do that. I don't know production. How on earth would little old me put together a promo? Now I do it zip, zap, zip in the morning like it's second nature to me, because, yeah, it was frustrating at first, but I would work on it. I would take a breath. If I needed a break, I would walk around the office and then come back to it until I figured it out. And I asked questions, and I wasn't embarrassed. Like, oh, they're going to talk about me. They're going to say, oh, Kiki, she doesn't know anything. What is she doing here? No, I said, you know what? If you don't know, you got to ask, or else you're never going to know.
Listen, you listen to some of the most successful entrepreneurs, business people out there, and they will all tell you not only about all their failures, which they are proud of and they wear like a badge of honor because it's character building and it got them to where they are, but they will also tell you, I've heard this so much, they say one of the most important skills of being successful is to be curious. Which means, and for those of you that have been in rooms with people that are, maybe more experienced than you or a higher level, quote unquote, in whatever, you will notice something. And I noticed this in my management consulting job. I worked with hundreds, if not thousands of people across all these different organizations. And what I noticed was really interesting. The people that are higher up they're actually going to be the first people to confidently say, what does that acronym mean? Or what do you mean about ABC things you just said? I didn't understand that term. So why is that? So I really thought about it. I'm like, how come they're so confidently able to ask questions and I'm afraid? Well, it's because they are so confident in what they know that they know that they have value already. So they're not afraid to say, look, I know what I know, but there's things I don't know. So can you share that with me more? Can you just break? They know that they're not quote unquote stupid, right? I don't like to use that term. It's just that they're confident in themselves enough to ask questions and to be curious. And what an advantage that ends up being for them is remarkable, because what happens is because they ask more questions, they acquire more knowledge faster. So it actually makes you smarter to ask questions, not dumber.
I love that. It's eye-opening, and it's true. I mean, you have to be confident in the position you're in, but also know that you don't know everything. None of us know everything. There's no.
That's why we have teams. I will tell you something else. I reach for people that are smarter than me in their respective field, like within my company especially, but even when I was running teams, like global teams and all of that. So it doesn't matter what the setting is. You could be a stay-at-home mom in a PTA organization. It doesn't matter. The point is, the good leaders that can make the most change, yes, they ask questions, they curate great people around them, because you can go a lot further in a team. And in building, a well-rounded team, you will make leaps and bounds further and faster. So I reach for people that are at the top of their field in an area that I might not understand. Right now in my company, so I don't come from film and television, right? Now I found myself not only being the founder of a company, but I'm actually the executive producer of all these shows, right? So how do I reconcile the fact that I have gaps in some of these technical skills? I don't know how to operate a camera the way that my team does. And you know who I have on my team? I've got folks from Lionsgate, producers that have produced over 1,000 films from Netflix, DreamWorks, Fox. I have experts in my company right now running my production team, because I can edit. I taught myself how to edit. I understand it enough, but that's not where my strongest suit is. So really, to elevate your team is to curate those folks that are better than you in your weak areas. And that is a great leadership quality.
So much good information. I am telling you, I could talk to you all day. Where can people go to find out more information about you?
They can find me at Kimberly Levy on Instagram. I have Iconic Nation Media Instagram as well. You can DM me. I check them. If not me, Yvette from my team will check them for me and contact me. You can email me, Kimberly at iconicnationmedia.com. And again, we launch and manage podcasts. And really just one last tip for those of you that are out there afraid to use your voice and put your face out there. I always say people can't buy your product or service if they don't know about you. Okay, so give them a chance to get to know you and put yourself out there. They can't buy from you or support your business or whatever. Maybe it's even a charitable thing if they don't know you exist. So please don't be afraid to use your voice. And Kiki, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you. I feel like when you talk with people, if you even walk away with one nugget of an idea, a spark or knowledge, it's a win. And I mean, you are just a plethora of sparks for me. So I love being with you.
Well, likewise. And I'm so proud of you for taking your leap and for all your success. And just thank you so much for including me in this wonderful show that you host. I'm so excited to be here with you.
You are an inspiration, and there's a reason why we're in each other's paths for sure.
For sure. I'm going to have to fly you out to LA and come to my new studio once it's built. Right now it's under construction, but
I would
I'm
love that.
Have to have you come on with us. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
That is it for today. Thank you very much for listening, and be sure to follow us at Iconic Nation Media and send us a direct message and comment on some of our posts so that we can hear your feedback and incorporate them into our show. We appreciate you listening, and we look forward to catching you next week.
Hey, friend, I know how it feels, waking up exhausted after multiple trips to the bathroom and feeling embarrassed by sudden leaks. I used to be constantly on edge, searching for a restroom whenever I was out. Then I discovered Better Woman. I was skeptical at first, but 2 months in, everything changed. I experienced improved bladder control, no more heart-stopping moments when I laugh or sneeze, less urge to go, deeper and more restful sleep. I finally felt like myself again, confident and in control. Better Woman is natural, effective, and trusted by women for over 25 years. Ready to take back your control? Head over to BeBetterNow.com to order your supply today. That's BeBetterNow.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed. Individual results may vary.